Hello, my name is Vinicius Santos. I am the brother of our tour, the man that you just saw, and the son of him. Uh, I'm Good morning to everybody. I'm so very grateful to have this opportunity. I'm 18 years old, which makes me an adult, but I know I'm still a kid. I know I still have a lot to learn and a lot to grow, so I'm very thankful for this opportunity. Like mentioned before, I was born in Fortaleza, Ceará, Brazil. That's not where I live anymore, so I don't think it's very pertinent. Um, but to move on, before my brother was born, I was living an idyllic life. My parents were very well off, and I had everything that I could possibly want in the world. I had already gone to school, something rarely done for Brazilians. I had all the family that I could ever want around me. I lived in constant joy. There was nothing that could ever go wrong with my life. When my brother was born, a wrench was thrown into that. Not through his fault, but at the time I didn't understand, and I was angry. My life had become hard. Within 1 or 2 months, my dad, who I saw every day, now I only saw him once a month. I was only able to live with my grandparents. The family that I had in Petrolina, the one that I was living with, all my cousins, they were gone. My life had changed completely at that point. And as time went on, things grew more painful. My brother was in and out of different hospitals. My parents became more exasperated as time went on. But eventually, it came to a point where they had to make a decision. They could either take me to a brave new world to face America with my brother, or they could leave me at home safely with my grandparents. They've made the tough call, and they brought me to the United States. Whenever we originally came, we came to Virginia in the U.S., the state a little bit down from the Pittsburgh that you see right there. We waited for 2 months for the call to come so that my brother could have his transplant. And at the time, I had grown accustomed to watching only television, just from the fact that I'd never had too much parental supervision at home. So I got acquainted with the American language, the English. And I actually was able to speak it a little bit. And as time went on, after the call came and after my brother was saved, we moved to Pittsburgh because that was our only option. Our tour needed to be treated, and Pittsburgh was the best place to be. There was no choice involved. Pittsburgh has become my home. I love the city to death. It's where I was raised, and that is the most beautiful picture that you will ever see, period. Pittsburgh is a really wintry city in the colder months, but while we were there, like he said, we only had $17,000, and that dried out quickly. We were more or less homeless, and we couldn't afford any rent, and we had no job because the American government doesn't have a medical visa or anything like that. We were tourists. We were just lounging around. Thankfully, we were saved. The building in the middle, a picture taken in the 70s, my favorite picture, is the Ronald McDonald House. A family home sort of situation where a family that is dealing with a major medical crisis can stay. And we begged every year to stay there, and we did so for 4 years. After 4 years, and after almost moving to Canada because we couldn't find a job, my dad was finally able to get a job, and we were able to move into an apartment. That was awful, so we thankfully were able to buy a house. But growing up with that environment, it was difficult, because at the time, we were so poor that milk was hard to get to, that there was a kitchen in the Ronald McDonald House, and the only way that we could afford milk was to basically almost steal it. And that sort of environment is hard to grow up in, but it made me who I am today. When we came to Pittsburgh in the U.S., I went to a public school. unfortunately, the public school in the United States, it didn't offer English as a second language. So I could speak English decently enough for a 5-year-old, but I couldn't read and write. I didn't have the competency to actually be able to be taught in English. And because of that, I was bullied not only by the teachers, but also by the students. It was a hard time, and for a decent amount of time, I came home every day crying. Thankfully, I was saved. The building all the way to the left is a school called Sacred Heart Elementary. I was given an ESL program, and I was given the teaching that I needed, and it gave me a base. A strong base which I grew from, which I developed from, that let me grow into who I am today. And from the hard work that I put into there, as time went on, I became not only as competent as my American schoolmates, but also highly competent just as an American. I was able to become a Crossroads Scholar, a program that would not only pay for my tuition at high school, but also assist me in maintaining my grades and helping me for my college entrance exams in the United States, the SATs. I was also admitted into Seton LaSalle Catholic High School, a school that gave me all the support that I needed to grow into who I am today, that I developed, that I grew into what I could be. My potential was maximized. And I know that I'm very lucky for what I've been able to get, and that not many have this opportunity. At the same time, over 6 years, I was a Boy Scout. In the United States, it's a program that teaches young boys to turn into young men. I was taught leadership, educational training, and survival skills, and from that, I was able to become the highest rank possible, a very powerful achievement in the that you can get before you're 18. That project that you see in front of you, it costs around $3,500 US. It took over 160 man hours and around 25 volunteers, of which all of which I managed. It's a very proud achievement that I had, that my dad helped me out with a lot. And thankfully, I was admitted into Northeastern University. From all my hard work and from all my dedication, I was able to go to a school that could help me. In the fall, I'm going to be studying for a degree in international business, something that will hopefully keep me globally connected. But the problem is that no matter how many achievements that I get, no matter how many opportunities I have, what was stolen from me could never be given back. I've barely ever seen my family outside of my mom and dad and my brother. All the memories that I have with my cousins, I'll never really be able to have. I was born as a Brazilian, but I was raised as an American. I'm a Brazilian American, but because of that, I'm really neither. I can go back to Brazil, I can listen to the music, I can understand every lyric, but I can't feel the nostalgia from it. I can't really laugh and sing along with it, because really I'm an outsider. I was never raised there, and that's not my history. But at the same time, I'm sitting in class in U.S. history, and I don't feel any connection, and I never will, because I was never born there, you know? And I shortened my name for the Americans to Vinny because it's easier for them. And I speak softly around the Brazilians because I don't want them to hear my atrocious accent. It's been hard for me, but I understand that now that's more of an advantage, that I grew from it, and that I can use it as another opportunity. And while that time that I was still in pain, but I was growing, I figured out that there are others that are in more pain, that are in more suffering, that they need help, which is why I helped my dad to write a book, The Sweet Odyssey, to tell our story, to say what happened, what happens to one family after one diagnosis. And it's a book that can describe all our story from the beginning to end, but not really afterwards. It doesn't describe the nitty-gritty of what every day was like, just the climax. And the small stuff, the stuff in between. It takes hard work, and I'm proud to say that I'm his son, because that guy works every day. He used to, in the U.S., whenever he came, he used to work as a laborer, even though he was a college-educated man. He worked from all the way there to becoming an engineer, and from becoming an engineer to a project manager. A proof of what he can do, proof of what he was supposed to do in Brazil. The book that we wrote, I can talk about it all day, but instead I'd rather have the man who saved my brother's life, Dr. Kevin Strauss, speak more on it.
A Sweet Odyssey will teach you something about love. All who read this story of young Artur and his remarkable family will come away with a deeper understanding of the love that binds us to one another and the sacrifices that this entails. In my work as a physician, I am sometimes moved deeply by the sacrifices parents make on behalf of their children, and often by the selfless courage of the children themselves. These children teach us something different or penetrating than all the facts we can glean from medical textbooks. They teach us the true meaning of compassion.
Thank you, everybody.
In Brazil, we wanted to make sure that it doesn't happen again, that no other family has to suffer like ours did. Me and my father wrote the Artur Bucar Santos law, a law that would basically make it so that a protocol and diagnosis and treatment would be done, that newborn screening would be put in place in Brazil federally. It was written and it's been presented to the Congress by Senator Gonzaga Patriota, but politics came into play and it's more or less been shelved. We're now working with the state of Maranhão, Brazil, to develop a pilot program to jumpstart it in one state to hopefully expand it federally. That's our goal. And one of our other ultimate goals is to have a movie. And because sometimes you mention newborn screening and nobody knows what it is. They know that a baby gets pricked and tested, but they don't know what that entails. They don't know that sometimes that one test, it can change a life. It can change multiple lives. And that's more or less what it's about. If my brother was tested, if 31 days hadn't passed where he wasn't diagnosed, I would be able to play soccer with him. I would be able to play around with him, and we would still be in Brazil. We would still have our family, and we would still be connected. But from one test, one protocol, from treatment, and from 1 month of not being diagnosed, his life has been changed forever. That's what we want to change. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again. Not in the United States, not in Brazil, and not in the world. Thank you very much.